Hello there.
OG things are going to be close to people's hearts, but as a dialect coach, I enjoy the Ewan McGregor one just because we don't really hear that air anymore. And so I'm like, listen to that sound. Hey everyone, I'm Jack Wallace. I'm a dialect coach in Hollywood and I help actors train for roles in different accents. And today I'm going to be reacting to Obi Wan Kenobi's accent throughout the years.
Hello there.
Alec Guinness is someone with an English accent, very kind of traditional received pronunciation accent normally, but when he says the name of his character, he doesn't say Obi Wan, he says Obi Wan.
Obi Wan.
Which is a much more American pronunciation than he would normally do.
Now that's a name I've not heard in a long time.
And then says in a long time rather than long time. So I don't know if he's necessarily using his own accent here or actually creating something for the character.
Oh, he's not dead. Not yet.
Well, then he goes back to saying not. So who knows about that second part? But the O's, he said, he's not dead as well.
I haven't gone by the name of Obi-Wan since before you were born.
But then back to I haven't gone by the name of Obi-Wan. So yeah, there's some interesting stuff happening here. It's funny because I was just watching a brief interview with him on Parkinson around this era, and his voice is very different from his character voice here. It's much more that I'm a trained actor and this is how I talk all the time.
I think a marvelous, healthy innocence.
He's obviously going for a character voice. He's got this kind of gravelly, old man, wise man like quality to this. But then on top of that, he has these odd American vowels every now and then. It could be because he knew this was going to be a film for America, so he might have been trying to just tone it down a little bit so he didn't stick out so much. There's a history in American films from kind of the 40s where they made up this accent for film called the Mid-Atlantic, which was this kind of blend of England and America.
Mary, I know what I'm going to do tomorrow and the next day and next year and a year after that. I'm shaking the dust of this crummy little town off my feet and I'm going to see the world.
So this isn't all the way to that, but there are kind of some little splashes here and there.
Hello there.
When playing kind of an origins kind of character where you know that you're going to be there for several films, maybe there's been a film before that you then have to work your way up to, there are different approaches. I think back in 99, I don't think there was that much of a focus on that. I'm not sure that they necessarily were concerned about that. They just didn't want it to sound like a completely different character.
I have a bad feeling about this.
And it's interesting in these clips is that he's going for that very traditional received pronunciation, that kind of baseline non-regional English accent.
It's not about the mission, Master. It's something elsewhere. Elusive.
You can hear there are certain vowels that he really goes for in terms of that would be different in Scottish, like master.
Yes, Master.
Every time he says Master Yoda, it's a very kind of clear, precise ah.
But Master Yoda said I should be mindful of the future.
There were some oohs, like the future.
Without the approval of the council, if I must.
And then in the second one, his ow vowel, talking about the council. Again, it's a very kind of grand pronunciation of this ow vowel that would be completely different in Scottish.
You seem a little on edge.
When having to play someone that is younger than a character that's already been established, the main thing that changes in older age is our vocal folds. They relax, they get thicker, and so the pitch of your voice drops down. In terms of accent, all accents change over time. Everybody's accent does as they intermingle with people. So that is a bonus in some way because it gives you a little bit of wiggle room, because maybe you haven't interacted with all the people that are going to affect you by the time you get to the stage you're supposed to be at the end of this. So the longer the span, the more wiggle room you have.
I haven't felt you this tense since we fell into that nest of gundarks.
So yes, we can hear that he's still going for these very pure received pronunciation sounds of gundarks.
Oh, yes.
This is the first time I've heard him say, oh, whereas Alec Guinness was doing that, oh, I don't know.
Oh,
whereas he's still doing this received pronunciation, oh. But again, they're very different from how he would say it normally in his own accent.
Spent as much time practicing your saber techniques as you do your wit, you would rival Master Yoda as a swordsman. I thought I already did. Only in your mind, my very young apprentice.
In terms of creating authority with his voice or his accent in these, I think it's really leaning in to the kind of purity of these received pronunciation vowels, even in times of stress, because often when emotions come up, that's when our regionalisms come out. Whereas here, he's there kind of holding back and talking about flying and don't do that. And there's still those very like specific, accurate received pronunciation vowels.
No, I don't like it when you do that.
Sorry, Master. I forgot you don't like flying.
I don't mind flying, but what you're doing is suicide.
I think it's also interesting throughout these next films because obviously Anakin has much more of an American accent, and there's just lots of societal things when it comes to the UK and America in terms of prestige and the way accents are perceived. Having lived here in America for a long time, there is a perception that people with an English accent automatically are more authoritative.
Oh no, I'm not brave enough for politics. I have to report to the council. Besides, someone needs to be the poster boy.
It's a delicate balance every single time that somebody that is well known is having to do an accent in a film, because immediately there's this, why are they talking like that, reaction to it. So then you could go one of two ways. You can make it hyper realistic where not every single time you say the same word is going to sound the same. But then people will be like, oh, you heard that. He said that word there, and he said that word there. Whereas you could then go the opposite way, which I think is what they've done here, where you make everything uniform. But then to a listener, that also seems weird, and you can't quite put your finger on it. Why? So it's a balance as to, are you going to do it within the world of the show, just this is how you say everything all the time, or are you going to allow for some modification as you go? And so I think they've gone for this slightly harder line. It's a big franchise, let's just keep it the same the whole way.
Let her go, Anakin. Let her go.
In this one, there were two moments where we were heading a bit more towards that Alec Guinness version of it with the let her go. It wasn't a let her go as he has been doing like the whole time. It was towards that kind of oh-ish thing.
Anakin, my allegiance is to the Republic, to democracy.
Democracy as well, other than democracy. So it looks like we're starting to get the little glimmers of what's to come.
You're late. Do you have it?
Okay, now we're starting to get a little different vocal quality, heading towards that kind of wise man voice. It's a little bit, it's not exactly shaky, but it's got this slight quality to it, which is very much like that Alec Guinness version. So we've gone from just worrying about accent and vowel substitutions now to the timbre and the quality of the voice. So that's exciting to see.
Yes, I had some parts stolen. I need a new processor board.
Interesting choice of words with processor as well, which is very much American, thinking about the same processor. So again, that's that blend between the two worlds. I think he's getting closer to the original Alec Guinness in this. He's taken what was kind of established for him in those first three, and then just adding more things onto it to kind of take it to where it needs to be.
I let your parents know you're safe. We'll be back in the palace, back to normal by nightfall.
Again, another O vowel in here, and it's again this new version, this O one. That same kind of quality is in this voice. It's much lower pitch as well from Revenge of the Sith as he ages, and now he's turning into that kind of grumpy old man version of himself.
Hello there.
Hello there.
Two slightly different variations of this hello there. Again, you always go for this very received pronunciation of the O, and then he's doing a very old-fashioned air on there, whereas the Alec Guinness version is much more of a short O and a short air on his.
Hello there.
Obviously, OG things are gonna be close to people's hearts, but you know, as a dialect coach, I enjoy the Ewan McGregor one just because we don't really hear that air anymore, and so I'm like, listen to that sound. We never get to hear that there, so I'm gonna do a hot take of Ewan McGregor's.
I have the high ground!
Gonna be unfollowed by every single person.
You're sweating. Relax. Take a deep breath.
So throughout all of these clips, we've got to see that evolution of the accent of Obi Wan Kenobi for Ewan McGregor as an actor. And it's interesting because we did start pretty far away from the New Hope accent. We started at this classic theatre-trained received pronunciation, O's, R's, Oz. And over time, things have just been slowly added in, dripped in. As he's evolved, and then in this final series we've got this quality shift in his voice as well that's taking him in the right bridge from those films to the original. He's done a really amazing job, and it's great to see all of these things back to back because you can really hear the evolution of Obi-Wan's accent.
And if you like that video, why not check out Jack reacting to Oscar Isaac's British accent in Moon Knight? Or, if you want more Star Wars, check out our sword expert reacting to the fights in the prequel trilogy.